everyone, this is a try-on video for my new pattern called carDEGEN, like cardigan, and I'm excited to walk you through the details. We're just wrapping up the test knit for this now, and the results that people are having are warming my little heart. It's really fun to see them come to life. So I hope you'll consider knitting it, and let's go through some details. First, I'll spin for you though. So let's start with yarn and then we'll talk about construction. This yarn was knit in the lichen and lace superwash worsted yarn. I'm forgetting the color now, but I love this color. I went into a yarn store, my local yarn store, saw it and didn't have a plan for it, but just loved the color. So I knew it needed to be something that was solid and just really featured the yarn. So very happy with this yarn. When you knit this yarn, it has the feeling of being a little over twisted. You know, when you're pulling the yarn up and it's sort of like twisting back on itself? This yarn definitely does that. It has a really high twist. But even so, I love the results of how this yarn knit. So super happy. And in terms of buttons, we're coming to you live from the pandemic, so I didn't want to go anywhere to get buttons. So my typical strategy is to give myself maybe 5 different options that I found on Etsy and then hope that one of those options worked. So that's what we have here. These are vintage, I don't even know what vintage means in terms of a button. They said that they were vintage buttons that are Carozzo, which is like a sort of oily nut that's quite hard and really beautiful. And I chose these orange ones. I didn't think I was going to choose these. I actually bought these because while I was shopping, I liked them and thought I'd make an orange red sweater later. But then when I saw it on the yarn, I just loved it and thought that it would be fun to then do a little yellow stitch in there. So that's what we have. How's it made? Okay, so this sweater is knit from the bottom up, sort of in the round slash panels. Because it's a cardigan, you're working all the way around, but you're working all the way around in flat in the panel. And then you do the front, chest, both sides, and then you do the back, upper back. And then you knit the sleeves, and the sleeves are knit from the bottom up, and then they're in the round. And then when you get to the underarm, it goes into rows again. And finally, you seam the sleeves in using a crochet or a link line, and then do the front plackets. One placket is just solid, so you're just doing a 1x1 rib up and down that one side. And then the other side has buttonholes. And I had actually never hand knit a buttonhole before. I thought it was going to be really hard, but I looked up some tutorials and picked my favorite one that I saw. And I actually think that they ended up quite easy and really quite beautiful the way that they finish. So I'm really happy with the buttonholes. And then the last detail is knitting on the collar. The collar is a 1x1 rib, and it features increases so that you get the really nice collar shape. To knit the collar, it's knit on and then it's finished with a sewn or Italian woven cast off, which I love. Always such a beautiful finish. Some people in the test knit are knitting it slightly longer. I like the fact that the back sort of stands up. I hope you can see. And then the front flaps or falls forward. I like that, but some people knit it a little bit longer so that it can fold in the back. And then the last detail that I added to mine was a tiny button at the top of the placket. And I just sewed this button on, and then on the placket that I wanted to attach to the button, I crocheted like a tiny little loop or lasso that just lassos that button and really keeps it closed. The great thing about that though is that button can be annoying to do and undo, but this sweater I can definitely pull over my head, no trouble. It's not a very constricted neckline, so you don't have to undo it if you desire the look of it being closed at the top. Because this is a worsted weight, this garment knit up super quick, which is really fun. It's fun to see it come to life. And also when you're working back and forth the body long rows, it feels like it's taking a long time, but then you get to the raglan shaping and it just whizzes by because you're rapidly decreasing. One thing, last detail that I wanted to point out is the raglan shaping. I made it really wide and dramatic. I think it's 3 stitches wide on the body and then 2 on the sleeve to make it 5 stitches wide total. And if you have a really clean seam, it just looks completely seamless, which I love. What else? Let's talk quickly about why I didn't knit this top down, because I receive a lot of questions regularly about why I decide to knit something top down or not. In this case, and most cases for me when it is a raglan, I like to shape the sleeve raglan at a different rate than the body. And so when you knit that top down, the pattern gets really complicated on how you're going to actually chart out when the body is shaping versus the sleeve shaping and all of that. So to avoid even having to think about that complexity and make it a more pleasant knit, I like to knit this from the bottom up. So this is the cardigan, and I hope that you'll consider knitting it. Thanks for watching.